Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Got Something For Ya. As you can see, and Amy in our live chat knows, we are joined by a very special guest today. We have the person who is the reason I attended Applebee's so much within the past year. Applebee's mascot, Liz Wilcox, is here joining us today from Survivor 46. Liz, I am so excited to be talking to you, but I'm also excited because we met in person before this, which was really cool.
Yes, we just met a few days ago in a corridor at
Yeah.
Ron Clark Academy, and Matthew was like, "Oh, you're gonna be on my podcast on Saturday." I was like, "Great," because sometimes I schedule this stuff and then I forget. Because y'all, I travel so freaking much for work. Like I was just hanging out with Matthew at Ron Clark in Atlanta. I got home, I don't know, 48 hours ago, and in another 48 hours, I'm going to be in Savannah. So I live like day by day. It's the same as like maybe that's why Survivor didn't bother me because it was like just day by day. Like I got a big picture, but I just got to live for today. So I'm super excited to be here. Holler to the hoe bags watching in the audience, and let's recap, baby.
Let's get into it. I just want to quickly also say we do have our live chat open. As you saw, Amy posted in it, and Jay is also saying hello to Liz. All right, Jay. I had to reread that sentence a few times. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about Ron Clark a little bit later. Well, was that your first time touring the school?
No, so Ron did something for season 46, which is my season. I almost have 44. So I've been there before. And y'all, so I I have a bachelor's in elementary education and I studied Ron in my university before he even had the academy, all of that. Like, did y'all know Ron Clark like has a biopic and it stars Matthew Perry from
Yeah.
Friends? Like, I've seen that so much. So when I found out, they were like, "Oh, Ron Clark Academy," and I was like, "Ron Clark." I was like, "The educator?" And Kenzie was like, "Yeah, no, the guy from Survivor." And I like Googled it. I was like, "What? He was on Survivor?" Like I had never seen his season before. So I watched it right before. I'm like, wow, he's good at everything.
See, I had a similar thing, except I had seen the clips of him on Oprah first, and then like did not put the pieces together until I was on the tour and he mentioned his Oprah visits, and I was like, oh, like okay, yes, now I understand. And of
You're
course, knew him from
famous all around.
yeah, you're just all over the place, but it was incredible. Jay, I got it. I figured it out after you said it. Yes, we definitely will get Liz's perspective on that moment and everything that happened after. An iconic moment to begin with from Survivor 46. And I'm like
Hmm.
you, when I was doing the podcast, our live stream from Ron Clark Academy, I kept saying Survivor 45 when I meant 48. Like I'm not past 45.
Not even close, bro.
I know. Well, let's get into it because we had a really fun tribal council the other night before where I had a feeling that Chrissy was going to be in trouble because oh my goodness, I thought Chrissy was saying a lot of unnecessary things for her gameplay. Did you feel similarly coming out of the last tribal council before this episode?
Yes, I mean she wasn't wrong. Chrissy, if you're listening, you're not wrong, baby. You're totally not wrong. But for better or worse at tribal, like you kind of have to be quiet, especially before, like the jury's not really the jury yet, right? So you don't have to divulge too much information. You want to play, with your cards to your chest a little bit. So I think, yeah, but also at this, I mean, as someone who has been known to pop off. I cannot blame her, but I wish she wouldn't have said anything.
I know it's a fine balance. I think that she may have just shown one too many unnecessary cards that she didn't have to quite yet. Not saying she was wrong. I agree with you there. And also, I didn't think she was wrong in this episode. Also, and now Jay, I see your chat. Don't worry, Ollie and Phil are okay. And speaking of one of those two, Ollie is here with us now. Where are
Yay!
you, Ollie? There you are.
I'm there. Hi.
Ta-da!
All right.
Ta-da!
Hi, Liz.
Hi, friends.
Right, I'm knackered. I literally just did a 10-minute walk. Well, 20-minute walk in somehow 10 minutes. So I'm feeling great about myself.
I'm feeling
Wow.
great about you too. I'm
Yeah.
celebrating that. Are we feeling
Sweaty.
great about Chrissy though?
No.
I feel a little
Oh.
nervous about her.
I was listening to what you guys were saying, and I agree. When it came to Last Tribal and what she said, I was very much like, this is great for your confessional. Don't tell us here.
Period.
So yeah, I was definitely very worried for Chrissy coming into this, and I think how she kind of handled when she was talking to Joe and everyone here. I was like, babes, I love you, but I wouldn't even believe that. I'm so sorry.
I think it's a tough thing to follow up with. I understand what she was trying to do here, and that made sense to me. And I do think out of what she was able to say as an excuse for why she said what she did, I think that she did the best that anyone could do in this situation. So, there's that. The toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't put it back. So it is what it is. And Ollie, I just want to applaud you on this image. This looks like they're like the album cover for them. Like this is a band.
It looks great.
It does.
Oh, good. All right. Then Shaheen was a really big focus of this episode as well. And this is a really interesting moment because he's commenting here on Mary's proximity to David. And that's why he's a bit nervous about working with Mary long term. Let's pause on that for a second. I did not realize this relationship between Mary and David was as strong as it was.
Literally.
To be fair, I had kind of noticed it in the last couple of episodes, but in the sense of like when you saw the split, when it wasn't just Shaheen and David talking, Mary was there as well. And you kind of see Mary in those conversations. So I kind of understand it, but also they always only focused on that 5. So I'm kind of like, oh.
Yeah, but I think it's foreshadowing that Mary gets 4th place, right? Because they don't really care about 4th place. They're like, like for me, it's like, and something, y'all, if you weren't at Ron Clark, Mary was popping off, honestly, during the commercials about, I was close to David, I was close to Shaheen, I was close to Eva, ... And I was like, oh, you get 4th place. I got it.
Honestly, though, true. I mean, Jay even mentioned it in our chat. The cutscenes, that's where they showed. So I feel like obviously, unfortunately, I think we figured out at this point from reading the edit of these seasons, if one of those two were to win, chances are those scenes would not have been cutscenes. So that's what I'm kind of looking at in terms of like possible placements moving forward. I agree with you, Liz. I was also thinking 4th. As much as I love Mary, and I do hope that she makes it to the finale, just in general, because she's such great television. But still, it is. So also, Amy, thank you so much. Amy says, I got back-to-back double dose of Matthew and Ollie as I just finished the Australian Brains vs. Bronze 2 final recap. Congrats, Matthew, on your draft win. Thank you, Amy. I'm never participating in another draft again now that I have this win. Okay, so let's keep moving on through here. And then we get some tree mail. And this, all you really need to know from this is that they need to split up into pairs. This tree mail was very interestingly written. I'll just say it that way. And then we kind of see them and their strategy as to picking partners for this challenge. I mean, Liz, you had a challenge where you had to pick partners, right?
Yeah, so I think that's what they mean by like new era classic. Like this is just going to be at this stage, what you have to do. And I remember, but I think we didn't have pairs. We had 3s. We had 3s, right? And so it was Venus, Q, and myself, which would have been the best final 3 in the world, right? Like so much chaos.
That would have been so
and
fun.
it was legit like, I think for me, everyone was mad at Q. Nobody effed with Venus. And then me, it was like, well, we don't know how to read Liz quite yet. So we just kind of got stuck together. And I remember telling Jeff that. I was like, well, they picked. And the 3 of us looked at each other like, I'm not you, but I'm stuck with you. This is BS.
And this wasn't the Applebee's episode, right?
Yeah.
No.
Ollie, you missed it, but I thanked Liz before for being the sole reason I went to Applebee's so much. Actually, Liz, you inspired. We created a little bit of a tradition here at Got Something For Ya. Towards the end of the season, right before the finale, myself, Ollie, and Phil, who is our usual co-host who can't be here today, we choose our winner picks, and whoever wins gets Applebee's sent to them. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I love that so much. I have like Applebee's on my wall. Let me see if I can move it, y'all. We're going off script here.
Going off script.
There's Applebee's.
Oh, I didn't see it.
So Applebee's, I bought this house and literally this package, it's like a box, was the first thing that it was at my house before I even signed the paperwork. And it was like a fanny pack, a hat, and $1,000 in Applebee's gift cards. So shout out Applebee's.
I mean,
you up.
I was going to say, now it all makes sense as to why you were so pissed about not getting the Applebee's rule.
I do love me some Applebee's. I really do. So yeah, back to this. The pairings, I think they really, I don't know. I feel like they were trying to do too much with the pairings here.
Well, yeah, Joe was also, like he introduced us like, I forget exactly what he said, but he basically was just trying to get people to pick their closest partner.
Yeah, it was honestly, this was reminiscent to me of Q dissecting the hide and seek. I was like, it's giving Q, same purple shirt, same black pants. Like, Joe, you're reading way too much into this, bro. Sometimes we're just picking who we're picking because we're tired and we're tired of talking. So to me, it was reminiscent of that.
Oh, that's a really good comparison. I would agree with that. Ollie, these next few image, is this just more partner figuring out?
This was the kind of almost outcome of the partner. So obviously once everyone had picked, because lest we forget, Chrissy kind of just tried to float an idea, just being like, well, there's these 5 people that then can then pick someone else. And for some bizarre reason, Eva just was like targeting it. She obviously, this is where Eva kind of goes to her strong 5 and is like, did you see what Chrissy was doing? And bless Chrissy, because I think Chrissy was just trying to help, because everyone was trying, like, I'm in an R and being like, I don't know. So Chrissy being she was just trying to help the situation. And obviously that turned into Eva and all the strong people being like, target.
So it's good storytelling, because Chrissy was kind of left out overall of this episode. I think for the reveal at the end that she would be the person voted out, which made me, I felt a little bit bad about that. But I think that where they had to plant the seeds, the editors did. And then we have this conversation with Mitch and David and Kyle.
Yeah, this is where Mitch is then, because he just had the conversation with Camila being like, when you're like sitting at the lunch and you want to like eat with your new friends or with your old friends. And he was kind of suggesting that he wanted to get the Eva people back together. And this is where we kind of really saw kind of Kyle and David. I feel like David more kind of obviously distance themselves and disassociate themselves, not just with Mitch, but Siva altogether. So I love that Liz is commenting in the chat as well. Sorry, it just came up. But we saw kind of Kyle almost kind of being like, yeah, I'll have to think about it, and then David was just like, yeah, cool, yeah. What were you saying, Mitch?
Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but like this made me so sad for Mitch, because I'm like, Mitch, get with the program. Like, I love him so much. I'm rooting for him. He's amazing TV. I think he's so like, wow, what a guy to go on TV, right? Like, I just love him so much. But I'm like, bro, this is new school Survivor. Like, to hell with the tribes. That might as well have been 100 days ago, right? Like, you got to forge some new bonds. And if you're not seeing this, secret 5 kind of, forming, then what are you like? Why are you talking to them? You should be talking to Chrissy, Camila, right? Like, what? That was something that I didn't know there was a secret 6 on my season, but I was walking around. I was like, who's eager to talk to me and who's not? Right. And it was even, I walked up to Kenzie around, it was probably this final 10-ish. And I was like, hey, I'm not really feeling Ben. Like, Ben's kind of skeeving me out. And she was like, really? I love Ben. What are you talking about? And then I was like, okay, I can't work with her. So I started walking around. And then I realized, like, oh, I'm wrong. Like, there's something, I didn't conceptualize the 6 people yet, but I was like, there's something going on. I think I actually need Kenzie. And this is all, I mean, we don't have watches out there, but this has got to be like all within 30 minutes. And so I walk back out and I'm like, hey, Kenzie, I was wrong. I think you're right about Ben. Like maybe we can talk to him. I really like you. If you really like Ben, then I'm going to have a conversation with him. And that was like the beginning of our final 4. Right. And so I'm like, I want to shake Mitch and be like, come on, they're not playing with you. You got to find somebody else that's sitting alone at the beach.
I have to agree with that. And because I feel like the way that the season feels like it's kind of going is it does sort of seem like the people who are outside of this Lexi, I like how you put it, the Integrity Alliance. It seems like the people outside of this alliance are going to constantly try to work with them, and it's just not going to. The way I see it is that they're not going to let them in. So I hope that they bond together, like you were saying. And also, Lexa, thank you so much. I saw your comment from a bit before. I really appreciate that. We have a fun time here. So then we get to the immunity challenge, and these are our pairs. Everything's looking pretty balanced, pretty even. And they are told that the first 2 pairs, so 4 people who don't make it past the first round, they are going to go on a journey where they have the possibility of losing their vote. Bum, bum, bum.
I wonder how Ollie feels about that, but go on.
Can you see my eyes roll to the back of my head that much? Do you know what? The fact that it's just one person losing their vote, I'm fine with, because I remember it was, I believe it was 45, where it was like all 4 people or whoever, or maybe all 3 people lost their vote and then had to then earn it. That I didn't like. This I can kind of, it's just, for me, it's like final 10. Like, your vote is your life in this game. So like, for me, I'm like, we don't need people to be losing their votes at this point, because I just know, for me, if I was on the island and I lost my vote and then I got voted out and the reasons were being, oh, well, he lost his vote, it's an easy vote, I'd be so irritated, and I'd be throwing all of the passive aggressive shade at production, like, happily with a smile.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of like it works in the favor of entertaining television if it ends up disarming the people in the majority alliance, right? But it just doesn't seem to ever really be the case in these situations. And Jay, I see your point there too. There are definitely still cracks, especially when it comes to David, absolutely, and Kyle. So we shall keep seeing, but we get to the end of this challenge, and I like that it built up to this moment. And it was really cool when we like zoomed back in and we just saw them from a distance, all hanging from the poles. I was like, I really like this. But here we go. We have Mary, David, Eva, and Joe all doing this iconic Survivor challenge, one that I would hate to do because for some reason this just absolutely scares me. But it was a really well fought battle, especially between Mary and Eva. They did so good.
It's amazing. I was honestly shocked that Mary was able to hang on, because y'all, we did this challenge.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever publicly talked about this, but they have the ladders. You go up the ladder and I'm like, holy, I didn't want to do it anyway, because at this point, like, I hadn't eaten in like over 24 hours. So I was already like feeling very weak. And y'all, like, I'm only 5 feet tall. Like, Matthew met me, right? Like, I'm surprised. I always hear like, wow, you're so much smaller than I thought you'd be. Like, I was the smallest person on our cast, and I could not like get more than like this around it. And So we get up and everybody's hanging on already. And I start like shaking. I'm not crying, but I'm crying, And I'm like, I can't do it, guys. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Get back on your ladders. Like I'm not ready because they're already hanging on. And I feel like if I won, that would be cheating, And Jeff was like, Liz, you really don't want to do it? And I was like, I don't want to do it. And he said, and my daughter's name is Chelsea. And he's so good, guys. Like, I know we hate on Jeff, but Jeff is so good. He was like, Liz, did you really come all this way? Did you really leave Chelsea to not do this? And I was like,
Aww.
God, I mean, I got chills. I'm like, God bless America. And so I get on and, there's people waiting and they run the ladders like right off of camera. And I'm like, actually, yeah, I did come all this way to not do it. And I like immediately, because I was terrified. And so I was so surprised it came down. I knew Eva, I mean, look at her thighs. My God, today. But like Mary was barely hanging on. And I met her and she's maybe like an inch or two. I don't know. She's got to be like 5'4" at best. She's pretty small. I was so surprised that she, literally had the circumference to hang on. So shout out Mary. Like if Eva wasn't there, she would have won. That was crazy.
Yeah.
And
oh, good, yeah.
How long would you say if you can give us the background from the time they run the ladders out to the time Jeff says, all right, it's starting, how much time are you just hanging up there without the support before the challenge officially starts?
Oh, seconds.
Oh,
I mean, it's barely anything. I mean, it's like, look at this shot, like they probably like two people ran that way, like it's really quick.
Got it. Okay. I was going to say, as long as it wasn't like 2 minutes where you're all just waiting for them to set up the camera and shot and whatever.
No, y'all, I lasted longer than Q, which is crazy. But I mean, I was shimmying down immediately because I was so scared. I was genuinely afraid. I was like, if I fall, I could die. Like, I know it doesn't look that high, but it
is.
Liz,
I mean, it's got to be like 15 feet. That's crazy. That would be like jumping off my roof.
Yeah. I've always said I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm terrified to fall from this thing. So I'm with you there. So
yeah.
The opposite. And I hate heights, but I'd love this. I'd be like, yes, please.
Okay, well, you would have done really well on our season because everyone was like, I want to try this. It's a Survivor Classic. And I'm like, I want rice. Am I like the bad guy here? It was
this was the rice negotiation.
Yes, it was for us. And then Jay posts like crazy Hunter won it. Listen, when Hunter let go of his arms and was backward, y'all remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
Jeff, that's the only time I ever saw Jeff scared. Jeff seriously started moving closer to him and was like ushering in the people and was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like he was mad. He was like so scared. And Hunter was like, Hunter, he's like, I'm just playing around. And abs of steel, he just comes back up and Jeff was like, don't do that.
Jeff was like, I do not need a lawsuit on this season. Okay,
legitimately, he's like, oh, that's a neck breaker move right there. For sure.
You've just won immunity. Don't take yourself out of the game now.
And
period.
Speaking of winning immunity, we have to congratulate Eva. This was so exciting. This is like,
congrats to Eva.
Wasn't it? I mean, it was such a great environment to be at the Ron Clark Academy, watching this happen live with all of them, seeing them watch it play out for the first time, told on television, was really exciting. But it was just a really cool energy all around, and I'm really happy for Eva here.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, she could go any second. She could get medevac. That'd be great. It's giving cult to me. Like our season was just so different. It was like if there was something wrong with you, you got to go immediately. Like if you have this, even an inkling that I like you, you're fucking gone. Why do you guys think I was lying about being a millionaire? Like I did not go on the island thinking, like I had that in my back pocket. I wasn't thinking that was going to be my main strategy. But the second I met everyone and I was like, oh, these people are out for blood, I'm not telling them nothing about my personal life. I was like, yeah, I'm a millionaire. Like And they were like, oh, she's final two. I have final two, final two. Like, she's coming with me. Like, so for me, seeing someone, I mean, Mitch too. And not that I don't like them as people and players, but it just makes no effing sense to me. The support makes no sense. But again, 46, rewatch it. If you don't remember, like, we had no sympathy, no empathy. We did not care at all. It was like, I remember Mo being like, I can't wait for us all to be friends after that. Guess what? Mo left 2 hours later. Like, we were like, what? Who wants to be friends? It's $1 million. I got 1 million friends in my bank account after this. Like, what? So it just makes no sense. Like, everyone cheering, oh, we're so happy for Eva. I would be like seething on the inside.
Well, if I was in the game, I would be there with you.
Yes.
But you know, from the outside perspective, it was fun.
All right. I guess I'm still traumatized. So I'm still healing, y'all. Ignore me. Just mute my mic if I go on.
No, I love it.
But no, I appreciate that a lot, Liz. I appreciate that outlook too, because we've heard some players. There are some players on the season who, especially more so when it came to Mitch, they were saying like he's got a great story. You know, like he's got to go. Like Chrissy was saying that. I'm sorry. I think David was saying that. Joe was saying this. Okay. Joe was saying this about the story. I don't need David coming for me in the chat. Joe was saying this in the story. And
he comes for me. It's fine.
I know. I need to keep the energy on Ollie. By the way, Ollie, he asked me to give you something.
Oh, for God's sake. What now? Liz, you don't know this. Me and David have a lovely friendship.
He asked me to give you, it's an invisible ring, but it's on this finger.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Yeah. So
thank you, David.
So Eva wins immunity, and then here's where like Chrissy's strategy comes in, and then we kind of leave it, right? So this is where Chrissy is telling Kyle that they need to vote out Joe. Now, one of our podcast members, Tori, who was at Ron Clark with us, thought this was the episode Joe was actually going to go here. So, you know, Chrissy pitching this plan, I didn't think it was going to happen. I still thought Chrissy was going home, but this was her final chance at something.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, you give the girl effort, like give her the credit for that she tried. Like, she wasn't going to go down swinging, and I understand. Like, you kind of understand her logic from an outside perspective. Again, I can say this sitting on the couch, eating whatever. Like, going for Joe is a very smart option because he is kind of the head of that snake, in the sense of like he's the one with a lot of the connections. Like, you already kind of we see this episode, David and Kyle starting to fracture. Like, but you've got Shaheen, who's really close with Joe. You've got Eva, that's really close with Joe. Like, David's like the Milk Bros have bonded over drinking a gallon of milk. Good for them. Like, Kyle and David have kind of bonded. So you take Joe out and you can kind of see this group splinter. So I understand it was a smart idea of Chrissy, just she told one of the wrong people.
True. Poor baby.
Jay had a question for you, saying, does Chrissy remind you of yourself trying to get Tevin out, except for you it worked and for her it didn't?
Meh. No. No, I mean, not really. I feel for me, like, no one was ever looking at me. Like, everyone thought Liz is in my back pocket, and that was really by design. And so I never felt like my back was against the wall. And I feel like Chrissy is fighting defense, where I literally never had to fight defense except for at fire. And you can see I was terrible at that, right? So I will say Chrissy reminded me of myself when she was, talking too much at Tribal, right? Because, and I did not even remember this, but I was hanging out with Kenzie a few weeks ago, and you should be. She's so cool. And she said, remember when you told everyone you had all the jury votes? And I was like, what? I don't remember. I was like, what? And I was like, no. She's like, yeah, like Maria, it was like final 6, and Maria would ask what, like, asked everyone who they thought, would vote for them at the end. And you were like, Tevin because of this, Hunter because of that, da, 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 da. And I was like, oh my God, what a moron. And I was like, I do not remember that. I said, it sounds exactly like me. I believe you. And she's like, yeah, why do you think we got you out in fire? You you were so confident. We were suddenly terrified of you. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, it's giving Andy. Like, what? Like, oh my God. And so that part reminded me of that, because I was like, oh, I do remember, like, oh, I have to say something so people, because 2-3 more people are going to the jury. And so I need them to know I'm not an idiot. But like, wow, did I just show y'all, I must not have been eating that day. I don't know why I would be so explicit. Yeah. Messy Queen, that's me.
We stand a messy queen in this building.
You know what? I do find it, like, sometimes we have castaways on here and they've even said, like, I haven't watched my season yet, or they've said, like, it's hard to look back on the mistakes I made. Liz, I love having you here just to hear, like, yeah, no, I made mistakes and I didn't win, but like, it was the experience it was.
Right. I mean, I still believe, whatever I said to Kenzie and everyone else said it, I clearly believed it, and I believe it now. I would have gotten those votes. So,
heck yeah.
Whatever. Moving on.
But
Poor
speaking of
Chrissy.
having votes and not having votes, but in a very different setting, we come to the game that I'm just going to say right now, I did not like this at all. I hated this. But I also understood it, because it was kind of cool that there was a strategy that Shaheen and that Camila were sort of able to figure out non-verbally in terms of how they were going to get, unfortunately, Star to lose her vote. But I think I preferred, if we're gonna have to do this, I think I preferred the, like, stack the cards thing that they did last season last season, and then whoever, like, reverse Jenga, like whoever knocked over that structure was the one to lose their vote. Here I felt it was a little bit, I don't know. I go back and forth on if it was too controlled or not.
I wouldn't say it's controlled. I think it's just more of like I feel like this is a lot more strategic than obviously the reverse Jenga game.
Yeah, Jay likes the Jenga game.
Yeah, I like this in the sense of, obviously it is strategic, but I think it's also that thing of people are going to remember that. Like, I think Star's going to remember Camila doing that in the sense, and all this kind of does. I think the reason it maybe isn't as enjoyable is because it's just making the people that aren't in that majority alliance like stay targeting each other. Because I would presume next round, if given the option, Star would vote for Camila and be like, she was the reason I lost my vote. She was clearly making me lose the challenge. So that's also why I didn't like it, because Mitch was sneaky, though. Mitch was sneaky about it because Mitch was letting Camila be the one to do it. So obviously because of the rotation and order, but that was sneaky Mitch.
I can't remember. Was it Mitch and Camila that teamed up?
Because I said Shaheen, Ollie, correct me.
Yeah, it was Mitch and Camila that teamed up.
Oh, okay. Thank you for correcting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Again, Mitch, pay the F attention, bro. Camila is not your friend. Like, you got a better chance with Star, but I mean,
yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
If they wanted to target someone, who's the one person from the majority alliance that's there? Shaheen. As much as I wouldn't want Shaheen to lose his vote because of my draft, like, that would make the most logical sense.
Man, I keep forgetting Camila's not in that alliance, but that's only because of her proximity to Kyle.
Right. But I mean, that just makes me wonder, like, how are they hiding that strongman alliance or whatever, right? Like, because I mean, Camila knows about it, right? But I mean, a shout out to her, because she would be like, it's like, well, whatever, I still got my game. Like, I'm not worried about it. Clearly, if she's making sure Star doesn't get the vote instead of Shaheen, right? So I'm interested. I would love to hear more from like Camilla's perspective
Yes.
of like why she's not worried about it, because we know she knows about it, right? Kyle's her true number one. Kyle just went out on a limb for her. Like she's got to know about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just so I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
I wish Ron asked her that question. That's a great question about why Star in this instance. I love Lexa in the chat said it's giving Mario Party, the mini game. Yes. Oh, the honeycomb. Yeah. I know that one. That is a great comparison here as well. And I agree. I don't like people losing their votes in general. Maybe that's just why I'm instantly sort of turned off by these mini games, what I'm going to call them. And yeah, wish Mitch could have gotten to eat. And let's talk about this enjoyable feast that the final four of the challenge got to enjoy. Now, quickly, I just want to say there are name tags. Everyone sees those name tags there. So
Yes.
I found it suspicious that where Eva was told to sit, Ollie, don't just let me. So I found it suspicious that where Eva was told to sit was where the little scroll was. Now, I will say the little scroll, when she unwrapped it, did say, because of your hard work in the challenge. But I was talking to Tegwith about this. Why didn't she just win that when she won the challenge? Or Ryan, Tegwith's boyfriend, was saying, why wasn't it like in the necklace or something like that?
Yeah.
This was interesting.
Ghetto trash behavior. Just like Matthew said, like just give it to her then. Because honestly, so there were quite a few of season 46 at Ron Clark. And so we all went back home to our Airbnb and we were popping off about it. We were like, never in my life, name tags. They want Eva to win. Like we were just freaking out because we have experience and it's not like that. Like it really is very hands off. Like I never got the vibe. Like, I mean, you can pay attention and I've been known to like be like, yeah, I get, the camera's going to Eva, let's vote Eva off. Like but they never do it intentionally, So this was like, what the fuck? But I will say, I will redact things because it did say like for your efforts today in the challenge. So I think, yes, 100% it was meant for the immunity winner. But to Matthew's point, like, I think it would have even been more fun, like in the necklace. Of like, like, does she see it? Does she not? Does somebody else see it? Because you take that thing off and you like hang it on a tree or something. Like, does somebody else see it? And now it's like, does she have something? But honestly, again, it just kind of gave me the ick. Like, oh, she's got an idol. Now she got this advantage or something. Like, just not how I want the season to go is all.
It's not a part of my fantasy, is what I'm hearing. No, yeah, I agree. I definitely, until I had to rewatch it to then see where Eva is like, because of your efforts. I'm like, okay, so it wasn't, but I was, Eva, I'm so sorry, but yeah, I was hoping someone else would get that. Just because I think, like you said, Liz, because she's got an idol already. We've kind of seen them have that power. I'd love to see someone else have something, just to change.
But she gets a task. She gets to sneak out of camp in a later episode and go to somewhere and get an advantage. It's what it sounds like.
That will be fun though to watch. I was praying for some kind of nighttime thing in our season because it's just fun, right? Like you're not sleeping anyway. Like it's hard to sleep. Like we might as well be playing. So I am excited to see. But my prediction is like whatever it is, she'll fix it. Obviously, she's like a pro hockey player. Like she'll be able to do it.
Well, my prediction is that she might get found out. Like this secret task might not be so secret. I don't know why. I just feel like they've left us on this very like do what you will with it. I just have a feeling they've set that up to not like rile the Eva fans of, oh, she's gonna get it seamlessly, I feel like she's gonna get caught out.
I hope so. I just love mess. I want to see somebody fight. Like, why are we crying about how much we love each other? That's gross. What game is this? This is not Love Island. This is Survivor. So I hope she gets caught. I hope it's a mess. I hope someone cries.
Amy wants to know, do we think that she's going to resist telling Joe about it?
No, she's gonna tell.
Oh, what do you think, Matthew?
I think she will frame it in a way where she needs Joe's help, right? Like to keep people at bay at camp while she sneaks off in the event that someone wakes up and sees her. I think she'll maybe frame it like that, like him playing watch, but I think he's going to know before she does it. And then Lexa has a question for you, Liz. How much sleep do you usually get?
In real life, a lot, like 10 hours. On the island, I think I slept more than anyone. Like I made the joke about not sleeping, but I was always the first one to bed. I was always the last one up. You're looking for idols. I'm taking a nap, hashtag low threat level. But I actually slept okay. But part of that was I slept right by the fire. And I did what I called a rock levy. So I found a rock that looked like a book. Right? Like it was like this, right? And I would put it in the fire at night and then I would take it out when it was hot and I would put it between my legs. So I was pretty, like that part of my body was warm. And then when I would wake up because I would be cold and I put it back in the fire and then I'd like put it between my sweater and my shirt.
That is so
smart. Yeah.
So smart.
And I like by the end, everyone was like, because I was like, don't touch that rock. I think one day somebody was like, went to throw it. And I was like, don't touch that. And they're like, what? I was like, that's my rock levy. And they're like, what? I'm like, how do you think I'm staying warm at night, bro? And then Kenzie, Charlie, like everyone started looking for their own rock levy. I think it was like Final 7 or something. But it took these idiots that long to figure out what I was doing because they're like, I'm like, get a rock levy, babe. And it actually really helped Ben sleep once he got a rock levy.
Is that going to be your next business that you're going to start selling rock levies?
Rocklevies.com.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Are you going to do a collab with the Q shirt?
A Q skirt. Yeah, I should. Q skirt. I'll just make Q skirts with pictures of rock levies.
Or like a little pouch for it. Sorted.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. If you're going on season 50, holler at me. Q and I will get something going for you.
It'll be great. And Ollie, tell us about your favorite player this season.
Mary's not in the picture though.
Oh. Then tell us about
David. This is where Mr. Chocolate Milkman decides that he wants to go for Camila, which I thought was really interesting because when he was almost kind of citing some of the reasons, it felt like it was going against this Integrity Alliance because it was almost like they wanted to get rid of, like they were trying to ensure that their alliance stayed close, and they felt like Camila was a threat to that in terms of Kyle and others. I think they may have even mentioned Shaheen. But what was interesting for me was this was Mary's idea. This was Mary's plan. And we kept getting confessionals from everyone else. I just personally would have loved a Mary confessional explaining it because this technically, going for Camila was Mary's move. But then obviously you have David that was going to get all the people gathered together to make it.
How do we know it was Mary's move? Was that the deleted scene?
No, it's where she was talking about it during the...
Okay, when Joe was like, I don't see why, and then Mary started speaking up. Okay, I remember that now. Yeah, why? Honestly, between David and Mary, I think they both are entertaining in different ways. So I don't know why we couldn't have seen both of them in confessionals. I mean, I guess we'll have to, maybe we find out why in next episode or two. But honestly, and I know everybody hates David, but shout out 4 Nips. Like, I can't help but like watching him. Like, He's so outrageous. Camila had it right. Like, why don't you go play the Olympics or something? But at the same time, like, he's not wrong. I mean, I don't know why we're not seeing Mary say this, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think I want him to have a looser grip on the game, but I think he actually is seeing things. And I think it's a testament to him to hear Mary out. Especially, he seems like such a meathead, but he is listening to Mary, so it's like, the jury is still out on my feelings for David, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, for me, I love David. Maybe it's because he gives Ollie such a hard time that I'm just instantly like, hey. But
Liz, I'll give you the full rundown on all that's been occurring.
Okay. I loved David until this episode. I was like, David to the end, chocolate milk, I'll pour it all over you, babe, whatever you want. Like, I'm looking for a house husband. You don't even have to have a job, babe. You can perform stunts on me. Okay. Like, I don't give a damn, but like, but this episode, I was like, oh, I don't like your attitude, sir. So the jury's still out for me.
It's Matthew dying.
Sorry, I have to recover from that.
Found the reel for this week.
I was gonna say you're welcome, babe.
Thanks, Liz. But yes, and also
tag me.
Did you feel? I don't think before Ron Clark and before watching it with everyone, I don't think I really figured out that like David was the villain of the season, or I didn't feel it out until this episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I think again, I'm gonna go with something that Jeff says, and people roll their eyes. Like, he never said he didn't want villains, right? But he did say like they show many more sides of a player now than just one.
Yeah,
and I think we're now seeing David's villainous side, whether or not the other cast members think of him as a villain, we'll see, right? And I think we saw a little bit of it at Ron Clark.
Yeah.
But it was definite, like, his edit to me is like, oh, they're trying to show a lot of different sides of him.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for David, it's the perfect analogy is you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. And that's what I feel like we've really seen with David. Because like at the start of the season, we saw a lot of moments that I even thought, oh, we're really seeing like his heroic side. We're really seeing this like kind of softer side of David. And now it's like villain. I'm not mad at it. We all know I love a villain. So thank you, Liz. Thank you so much.
And you know what? I have to give a shout out. Lexa, I love this comment here. I actually don't hate David. I'm a struggling entertainment industry person who can't afford to buy a house in LA either. His story reminds me of my own a lot. Lexa, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm so glad that his story is resonating with you. I mean, it's interesting. And I think, I'm excited to see how his story ends up. I like that we're seeing a lot of different sides of David. That's like just good. It would be considered character development in like scripted television, but this is real life, so it's just good to see all sides of a person. So then Kyle finds out that the vote has flipped onto Camila, and Kyle is not having it. So I thought Kyle did a really nice job with how it ended up being obvious to David that there was something going on between Kyle and Camila, but there was, I thought Kyle did a really nice job here keeping her safe.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it turned out nicely, but in my head, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, for me, I was literally picturing, what would I do? I would have been like, okay, Camila, great. And then I would have just immediately gone over to Camila and be like, we got to figure something out. Like, I would not have, I mean, it was straight giraffe sticking that neck out, like, I would never, but I admired it. And I was like, wow, this is really, this is a great screenshot of Kyle, right? Like with the hands, because I feel like he's literally like trying to work it out, right? And I think he really played to and showed that he knows the dynamics of the tribe, going to Joe repeatedly, once he noticed like, oh, I'm kind of irritating David. It's not even David's plan in the first place, and then just saying like, Joe, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then didn't they say, like they said, oh, Chrissy is saying your name. Was that true? I couldn't even remember if that was a lot. Okay.
So yeah, that was where Kyle had spoken. That was when Kyle was speaking to Joe.
Right.
And halfway through was like, oh yeah, Chrissy threw your name out. And obviously Joe was like, why didn't you start with that?
Yeah, that was
that. That had me hit line and sinker.
Right. Yeah. No, I thought that was a really smart move because Joe seems like the dad of the season. Again, like, for what? Like, I don't need a daddy. Okay. Like, but yeah, no, I thought this was brilliant execution. A little flubbing, but we'll see how it pans out.
And then, I mean, the highlight of this episode for me were Camila's confessionals. So good.
Yeah. Her confessional reading David to filth, I'm so sorry, David, was so funny.
You're not sorry.
No, I'm not. It's so funny. It was just pure television. But what I will say is I love how she handled this situation from like a game perspective, because like I think you'd see people like try and like make sure that they kind of were taking themselves off, like they'd be going around. But I like how it's almost from what we saw anyway. We didn't see it all, but it seems like Camila was keeping herself back, keeping herself out of the radar. And I think we see that a lot more in kind of tribal as well. So I will give Camila that credit.
And then we have a really great scene, which again, I like how Kyle did this, because you have David and Mary sort of on this side. And Mary also impressed me here too, because I think David is the one who is focusing on the Camila vote out very strongly, to the point where he's not letting anyone budge from this. Mary, I know she's team let's vote out Camila, but at the same time, she was doing a great job at being like, oh, Kyle, you know what? Tell me a little bit more about why you think this way. Like, trying to getting him to keep talking so that she's listening, even if she doesn't agree with him. And then Kyle was also doing a good job at being like, but you're not letting me say everything, which, whether or not that's true or not, I think was a good way to be like, yeah, but you just don't have all of the information yet. It was like a good way to continue the discussion.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where I was like so nervous. And I guess, my cast was so different, right? Every cast is so different. And I'm like, oh, we would have been into a screaming match by now. Like if somebody said to me, but you don't have all the information yet, I would just immediately like shut down, or I'd be like, well, you go next. And then I would just walk away and talk to anyone who wasn't in the circle and be like, Kyle, he's not listening. Kyle. Yeah. Like, but our season was so messy. But I thought this was a good scene of like, even though David and Kyle were, like at it, they were still trying to be super respectful, which I will say, like at this stage in the game, maybe they've just eaten a little bit more. Like I thought that was admirable of all of them to have such communication skills, even when they weren't agreeing, because that's so effing hard to do out there.
I would say that too. I mean, they definitely were on different sides here, which is why I'm so confused as to how. Yeah, Alexa, I was too. And I love them so much. And I know Liz also put her love in the chat for Mitch too. I love both of these players. Also, I got to hang out with Star at the Ron Clark thing. What an amazing person, I just want to say. But going back to, I was really surprised after all of this discussion and all of this split down the center of this alliance, how Tribal Council ended up. First, we have to say hello to our very first member of the jury, sitting on the tiniest little jury bench that ever. This reminded me of like something that came with like an American Girl doll, like one of those like chairs or something that came with them. Like I was like, why is this the jury bench?
That's not typical, right? Like, what the fuck is that? Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Like, what? That's not
So,
typical, right? Okay.
no.
Yeah. I think it was an appropriate time to ask that question, Liz. So you're good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Teeny
so
tiny.
oh, and hi Jay, Wild West in the chat says, "Hey Liz, money." So, oh yeah. Ollie, do you want to give Jay reminded me? Do you want to give Cedric a spark or snuff? It's a spark for me. I like the shirt.
I will give it some embers. I feel like we have just come off AU coverage where, Liz, if you don't know, the jury's outfits were like so fire. Like to the point where I wanted to be on jury. I was like, do you know what? You can vote me out so I can go sit with them in jury because they all looked fire. So yeah, I was like, yeah, this is low key for me.
And Liz,
It's all right.
It's all right. Okay, so you would give it we give spark is something we really like. A snuff is something we really don't like, and then like an embers is like a right on the edge of something we like.
It's giving ember.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got ember. I'm gonna give it a spark. I like the shirt a lot. I would wear that shirt. All right. So then we have David versus Chrissy. Go ahead, Ollie.
Okay. I will say I understood where both of them were coming from, because I actually do think that both of them made very valid points and very valid arguments. I really resonate with what David was saying in the sense of like all beforehand we see like alliances based on gender, based on social players, based on this, based on that. So why can't it be all physical players? I think that's absolutely fine. I think Chrissy had every right to be like, my name's on the chopping block. I'm potentially going. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. Like that. Like I feel like she has every right. I think where it went wrong was, I think obviously Chrissy kind of just started it, and I was like, Chrissy, just keep the thoughts in your head. Confessional. But then also I feel like David was very dismissive, and I think that's where I see things kind of in the sense of, it didn't seem like he was wanting to hear Chrissy out. Now, again, we didn't see the whole picture. I don't know the full story on this. Obviously, Jay's kind of put in the chat what apparently might have happened. But I feel like from what we were able to see, it did seem like David was very strong on his stance, which is all fair and well to have. But I think you've at least got to let everyone else speak. And I think that's where I was kind of struggling with these two. With both of them. I think both of them had good points, but I also think both of them had some things that they could have done better. And then you just had Camila telling them both it was all bad jury management. Was hilarious.
I loved this. I wish it was always like this. So messy. Everyone yelling at each other, and Camila being like, well, I'm staying chill, bro. Like that. I thought that was so smart of her to be like,
Yep.
actually, I'm even keeled. I'm fine. Like, wouldn't you want to keep me around? I thought that was a perfect play. It was like, it was giving like Alec Gabler, right? Like I just popped right up and said something, and then I just went right back down, right? So I loved that. Honestly, I love this like very Jerry Springer moment between those two. Of like, you ain't the father. Yes, you are. Like, I know you were with Joe last night. No, I wasn't. Why are you yelling at me? I'm not yelling. I love that so much. I thought it was really good. It was messy without having to be a live tribal, which I hate live tribals. Watching, being a part of them. I think it's ghetto, but I loved this of just like the pure friction and tension. And again, they're trying to be respectful, but they're like losing that, like slowly they're just getting more and more irritated. I loved it. I thought it was really fun to watch.
Oh God, yeah. From a TV perspective, oh God, this was great to watch. I had my popcorn. I was loving my life. So yeah, well done to David and Chrissy for giving me some very good entertainment there. I had my popcorn.
Yeah, and also Alexa, I was just reading over your comments in the chat. I love that you are also into the fashion like we are. And Amy, I saw your comment about the fashion on AU. I know they were hard to beat, the AU jury. Absolutely. But yes, I'm glad we're not the only ones. It's fun. But here I did kind of like I'm missing out on some of the details. I'm forgetting some of the details about this conversation, but I saw where both of them were coming from.
Mm.
And I like what David said about um meat shields. Like I like that it's like, okay, well, everyone who comes into this game looking very fit. Uh, Honestly, at this point, we've heard time after time again players be like, "Oh yeah, I just want people to think of me as a shield that they can use," right? That's typically the strategy that a lot of players who are physically fit, visually, would kind of go to. So yeah, I see his point there, and then I think Chrissy, on the other hand, too, is like, why are we just letting people get through the game? Like,
Yeah.
I think that the alliance was more, I don't want to say obvious, but apparent than what was, led on. Just like I think David, when he figured out that Camilla and Kyle were sort of a pair together, I think even that was a little bit more apparent than the audience is led on to believe.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and I like Lex's comment. I'm just going to pull it up. Like, Chrissy was not wrong about anything she said, but I kind of agree. I was quite shocked that she didn't play her shot in the dark. That was the only thing I was a bit like shocked about.
I wasn't shocked about that. I was shocked she voted for Shaheen.
See, that's what I'm wondering, right? Like, was that because you have to know you're going home, right? That, or she really wasn't self-aware, like, which, I love a delusional queen.
We love it.
I am the queen of queens. But was it like a signal? Like Shaheen is running things. I don't know. Like, or, like, was she trying to tell someone something with that vote? I don't know.
Or
Or
it
maybe
seems
she
like
just don't like him.
maybe, but at the same time, also, it's like Shaheen was sort of the name that people kept throwing around as like the one person to land a vote, like sort of a pawn. Like he in the last episode, people were like, "Oh yeah, there's going to be a vote on you," and he was like, "All right, I just have to trust that it's not going to flip or anything." But at the end of the day, the vote really surprised me because it was unanimous vote on Chrissy, which is not what I was believing the episode was leading up to. Even though I did think she was going home, I thought it would be a lot closer. I thought there would be votes on Camilla.
Yeah, what a mess. Like, y'all, all that talk and nobody want to do nothing. Okay. I
Liz,
see how
when
this is going to end.
when do you think they made the decision?
Well, if it's unanimous, I don't think it was like a last minute decision,
Yeah.
right?
I feel like it must have been, they must have decided it before they got to tribal. And then it must have been like when David and Chrissy were having those conversations, it was almost like a lock-in, like nothing's changing, nothing's going live. I feel like that's what it might have been.
Yeah, because there were a few times like I would go to tribal and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna go with what everybody says because like that's not my agenda. I know I could probably like, wink at a few people or whatever, depending on how it goes, and we could flip this easily. But there were sometimes, somebody opens their mouth and it's like, you know what, actually you could go. Like, it's fine. I'll figure it out tomorrow. I don't actually need you. And now you're annoying me. So get out of here. So I feel like maybe that was it. Like maybe David still had it in his head. We could try to split this vote or something. But then, they clearly got into it and he was like, all right, whatever. Mary said she's cool with this today. I guess I'm cool with it today too. Bye.
I mean, I guess that's sort of what ended up happening. And then I think that the editors and the producers are like, all right, because let's face it, this is a fairly, I might say, predictable vote. So they had to, do the television thing and look at all of our different options and keep, our viewers on the edge of their toes. I like this question from Lexa right before we go into our social media bit of today's episode. But Liz, you made an interesting comment. You have to know when you are going home. Is that because you felt that when it was your time? And did you ever genuinely think it was you and it wasn't?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I said you have to know you're going home, as in like Chrissy. It seemed really obvious if everyone's kind of ganging up on you, is what I meant by that. Especially since it was unanimous, she had to have known or heard something, or she was just sleeping on the beach, but I don't think she was, because she was fighting really hard. And that was something at Ron Clark. Mitch stood up after the episode and said, Chrissy would fought till the end. So that's why I said that. Like, she knew she was going, or, there was a probability, right? Because she was fighting really hard, is what Mitch said. As far as did I ever feel that way? No. There was only at final 5 did I get a little nervous, because it was like so obviously Maria going home, and I was like, wait, is it me? Like, it did everyone like just say that? And I'm like, LOL, no. Like, you literally had to help Kenzie win the immunity challenge so that it would be Maria. But that was the only time I had any inkling, but that was just foreshadowing, because I finally slowed down enough to think like, oh, of these 4, they're much tighter than I am. So, but even at final 4, like, I made fire, right? So it wasn't a vote. And so I still thought like, oh, I have a chance because I can beat Kenzie in fire, which I did go in thinking I would beat her, because she was crying all day, choking. She wasn't able to make fire, but I think one time all day, and I made it like 5, 6 times. So I went in again feeling pretty confident. But if you guys look up Survivor GIFs, jiffy.com or GIF, however you pronounce it, there's a GIF of me when my flame goes out and I go, that was me legitimately. That's the moment that I knew that I was losing, and I had just lost $1 million. So thank you, CBS, for forever immortalizing that.
That moment. Well,
It's legitimately the moment I'm like, wow, I just lost.
Well, speaking of GIFs, GIFs, and everything social media, I'm going to toss it over to Ollie for our segment, The Tribe. No, okay, wait. We're going to toss it over to Ollie for our segment, The Tribe Has Posted.
Yeah.
Yes. Ollie, I'll put you at the top.
Thanks. So for anyone that doesn't know, we do The Tribe Has Posted, where I scour everyone's social medias to find out all the tea that's been going on, any little tidbits we can find, and also have some polls. I will say, I actually think we started this in 46. So I definitely think this was inspired by your cast list, because I will admit, your cast, when it came to social media, popping off. Like, you guys were so good, and I think we just had to capitalize on it. So the first ones we have are, most of this is going to be Ron Clark Academy, actually, I'm going to admit. And the first one is just purely Star. Like, seeing everything that was going on in Ron Clark Academy was amazing. I think I literally had to split it into the pre-jury, because we had some really cute moments from Say, like her and Charity were having their cute little moment. They're apparently very close. You've got Thomas and stuff at the bar in the karaoke. And also, I really enjoyed Stephanie's one, which is in the third one, because it is literally say, blink or you miss it, just like my time on the show. And literally it is 5 seconds and then it goes to Cedric. So it was quite a funny Insta story. And then you also have the people that are currently still in the game. I did Shaheen, I believe that's Cedric on the side, and then you've got Mary in the middle, where again, as Liz said, Mary was popping off. I would suggest going and looking at all of the Instagrams, the reels and stuff, because it was very funny. Because in this thing, all I will say is Mary was clearing up some allegations that had been said, which we all knew were not going to be true, but we digress. I will say, though, it wasn't all Survivor people at the Ron Clark event. We had some other people. Look, Matthew, you're on. You've made it. Yes, we have from Tegworth, Randy, and even Matthew. What a lovely photo at the end there. That's my favourite photo of
You
the
captured
entire
it at 7 likes. Thanks,
Yeah,
Ollie.
sorry. So sorry.
I'm not the fan favorite. It's okay.
I will. Do you know what? I will go look right now to see what the likes are, just to
You don't have
confirm
to.
once more.
Don't embarrass
9.
me. I
No.
was gonna say 9.
But no, I will say. I was trying to. Matthew really wanted to be a part of the Tribals poster, so I made his dreams come true.
No,
here.
I didn't, Ollie. Oh,
It's okay.
Um,
thank you. I'm happy to be there.
Yeah, exactly. But you were there. You were at the Ron Clark event, and Survivor
was.
Now were having a lovely time there. So a couple more things we've got. We had 2 posts from Eva. It was two reels. One was about it was her winning immunity. The other one was her calling another politician out, which was quite funny. It was just showcasing her autism. And then obviously we have Cedric in the jury bench, looking lovely as ever in his Embers outfit. And then the next two of my favorite tweets. The first one is obviously Mary. How fans are reacting to me lately versus my response. But it's the Survivor Drag Race collab that we never knew we needed. Dawn from Drag Race 16 responded. And I will say, we all know that Monet Exchange from Drag Race is a big Survivor fan. Dawn is up there as well. Like, to me, the two Drag Race girlies that are keen on Survivor are Dawn and Monet. So if they ever do a celebrity version, I'm waiting for both of them, or at least one of them, to be on it.
They don't have to do a celebrity version. Mike White was on a regular season.
That's true. Get Dawn and Monet Exchange on Drag Race now. And then also Camila. She can't trust anyone, because how dare everyone in the game let her look like this apparently on national TV. She apparently looks like Pinhead Larry. And once I looked that up and reminded myself who that was, Camila, I would just personally like to apologize, even though I was not there. I'm so sorry that no one stuck up for you and let you knew that was happening.
I'm not. I love it.
I know, it's so funny. It is funny, bless her. And then 2 final tweets. One from Say. This episode could have been an email.
Yeah.
And then also David. Just reminding people provoke you until you must exhibit strength and then play victim when they do. I don't know who this is regarding, but I just saw it and I was like, that's spicy. Let's put it in the deck. So yeah, that's all we see. I believe we're going to the polls now. I'm just going to double check. Matthew, did you put the answers in the poll?
Yes, I did. And real quick, I just want to say also getting to meet the cast of Survivor 48, getting to say thank you so much. I know you might be watching this. Thank you for your support. It was so amazing meeting you and just getting to talk with you and getting to talk with all of you. It was just Ron Clark Academy was a really special place, not only because of the Survivor event, but also seeing the absolutely incredible work that he is doing and his faculty are doing. It is truly like a magical experience, a magical place. What a great environment for these kids to learn in. And those students are going to do such amazing things. I had the best time.
Same.
Lucky. Wish I could go.
One of
but
these
yeah,
days, Ollie.
one of these days I will be running over to Ron Clark Academy being like, hi.
You have to go for 50. If he does it next year, it'll be season 50.
Oh my God.
That's a good point.
I will be booking so much time off. It's ridiculous.
I'll be there if I'm invited back. I'm sure. I was not obnoxious, so I'm sure they'd love to have me back.
You will.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah,
I'm not saying anything. So, moving on then. We've got the polls. For anyone that doesn't know, we post polls on X. Just polls that we have on, and they will be on there normally from Thursday to Saturday, and this is where we will review them. So the first one was, what's the largest animal you could take in a fight? This was a discussion that was had before they did all the pairings. We had female deer, retired gorilla, petting zoo pig, and hyena. I don't even need to ask Liz. She has already she has said petting zoo pig for me. Matthew, what's the largest animal you think you could take?
Well, I think that 3 out of the 4 of these are non-violent. So I'm just gonna go with a hyena because I don't want to fight something that probably won't attack me to begin with.
What are you talking about? The pig is the only thing that's not a predator.
Well, I thought gorillas were also.
Well, I guess maybe you're right. I don't know. But to
Hey.
me, a gorilla is just big as fuck. So I'm not even going there.
They're big, but they're so gentle. You ever seen the one doing
Well-
sign language? It was beautiful.
Yeah, but remember this. Remember,
Sir.
Joe's description. Remember, early in the morning, the gorilla's only just woken up, and it'd just be a few and run. That's all Joe wanted to do for the retired gorilla.
I just love gorillas, so it's okay.
Fair.
Have you ever heard of Harambe in like Ohio or whatever? Just Google it. I can't say on a live stream what that gorilla did to that child.
We will not talk about Harambe here. But I'm going to move on and say the results, which were, this is in the majority, 50% petting zoo pig. Matthew, you are all on your own on this island with hyena.
I'll be the happy
You and-
0.1%.
You and
will be-
Joe. Can we talk about this for a second? I hate to prolong this. Not really. This is so much fun. Y'all, the way that these people were like, oh yeah, I could take a gorilla. Oh, I could take a hyena. I could take a deer. Like, what? Like, to me, that was so revealing of the arrogance of some people. 'Cause I'm like, there's no way you're taking a hyena, bro. Like, sometimes lions don't win against hyenas. What are you talking about? Retired gorilla? No offense, Matthew. That thing weighs 1,000 pounds. It's going to sit on you. You're done. It's going to be annoyed with you. It'll smack the shit out of you. And it'll sit on you. You're done. Like, it was insane to me. It's like reminiscence of, what was it like last summer? Like, I could take a bear. Like, all these, like, you know, cis men, like, I could take a bear. I could take a bear. I was like, get these people off my screen already. Where is Star? Where is Mitch?
What I'm hearing is you'd rather hear the Taylor Swift versus, was it Metallica? Song off between Charlie and Ben.
No. Okay, I take it back. It was entertaining, but like, if I was playing, I would be like, you guys have to go, because if you think you can fight a retired gorilla, no offense, Matthew, like, you're delusional. You've got to go.
And Jay in the chat has just let us know that hyenas have the highest bite force. So yeah, I would not want to do a hyena.
Thank you. And Jay, I always thought gorillas were shy.
No. But the next poll we have, do you think people's votes should be at risk at final 10 or later? Yes, it's fair game. Unsure, I'm indifferent. No, totally unfair. Or votes shouldn't be at risk. I wanted to put should never be at risk, but I didn't have enough. There was only 25 I could write. So. Matthew?
I don't know.
I don't like votes being at risk, so I'm just gonna go with that one. But I have a feeling I forgot what I saw people put on this anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna go with votes shouldn't be at risk.
Liz?
Indifferent. It's
Indifferent.
Survivor, you know, like, quit your bitching. Like, whatever.
Well, I can reveal that 62% said no, totally unfair. And Liz, this time you're on the island on your own with unsure, I'm indifferent.
That's that's not the first time, so that's fine. I also love fire making.
Right?
Yeah, Matthew round 1, you round 2.
Yay.
So let's see if one of you wins this on the island alone with the third poll and final one, which is, whose viewpoint did you resonate with most during Tribal Council? Chrissy, David, both of them, neither of them.
I mean, for me, it's both of them. I already kind of said this because they made the most sense from their unique perspectives of the events, you know?
Liz?
I'm going to go, I mean, I want to say both, but which one did I really resonate with? I'm going to go with David because I just love a unique perspective.
Okay. Well, I can reveal that X users are petty. 65% said Chrissy. 24% said both of them. Only 6% said David. I do think this is X being a bit sassy and a bit cheeky towards David.
Yeah.
But I was also kind of shocked that it was 24% at the end for both of them, because I would have voted for both of them. Like, that's where I resonated with. So I was very shocked that was only 24. But Matthew's
interesting to me. No, I think I do. Like, I wonder if it's also like Chrissy's position was technically like the underdog in this scenario. So I do think people resonate with that spot just in general. Yeah, this is interesting. I thought it would be a little bit closer. Okay.
Yeah, no, I did think it was going to be closer, but those are the polls for this week. We will have more for next week, so I'm sure there's going to be some spicy things, but that is the tribe has posted. That's all done.
Thank you, Ollie, for guiding us through that. Liz, thank you so much for being here with us for this episode recap.
Oh my gosh, thanks for asking. I had a lot of fun. I'm loving this cast. I know some people are hating on it, but I really love it. I don't know what's going to happen at Ron Clark. I was like, please no spoilers. I love watching as a fan. But I'm rooting for my boy Cheyenne because he was our alternate and he was doing the effing most at Ponderosa to get noticed. So I know he's literally been working so much harder than all of them to get on Survivor and play. So I got to root for my boy to the end. And thanks so much for having me. Thanks for everybody in the comments showing me some love. It means a lot to me.
Well, it definitely looked like they love seeing you. It was great speaking to you about your experience as well. We're going to end the stream here, everyone. This was our weekly Got Something For Ya. You know where to find us next week. We're Saturdays at 3. Saturdays at 3 p.m. We're one of the last shows of the week, but then on Sundays, there is Survivor Social with Kara and Tegwith. And then it all starts all over again. Starting on Wednesdays when the episode airs, there's a pre-show, there's an after show. Following the next day, there is going to be Survivor Stock Watch typically. No more Australian Survivor. That has ended for the season, so you could watch our recap from the finale. We're going to end the stream there, everyone. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you all next time.